야, 다 들으되.
So here we have school children gathered.
다 들으되. 지랑조 다 셔야 돼. 아니. 뒤수 생각도 저되게 요래.
So what I'd like to say is time always passes by. So an older generation of people go by and then new generations come up. So that's a process of nature, natural process. Even the nature, trees, flowers and so forth grow at one time of the year and then they wither away, and then next year again they bloom, they grow, and so these changes happen in the external nature, and we also, in our life, changes. So since time passes by, past and future is very important. Past is something that is gone, but what we can do is take lessons from the past. But the future is yet to come, so therefore it's in our hands how we shape the future. So how the world would be in the future depends on the new generation of people. So we need to educate the younger generation, taking into account the future development and so forth. And so through education, if people could be made to understand the reality of things and use their brain properly, then we can make changes for the better. And so all people on this earth, we cannot say everyone in the world has to be a religious believer or practitioner of religions. Whether you believe in a religion or not, what kind of religion you want to follow or not is individual choice. So what we need to think about is to have a good environment, atmosphere in the whole world, so that the world is free from all kinds of armaments, and so that we can bring peace, true peace. In the last centuries, there have been lots of wars, battles in the world. People fought a lot with one another. But what that has caused is that it has caused people to feel fed up with using arms and forces. So now we all of us have the responsibility to bring about peace without any wars and battles. So the innate quality of human beings is that we have been nurtured by compassion, love. If you look at animals also, those who are born from eggs or wombs of mother live and survive through love and compassion. And therefore, this innate quality that we have as human beings, love and compassion, is always there. But what we need to do is this innate quality of love and compassion is not a subject that is taught as part of the curriculum of modern education. So as children progress in their school system and reach classes 4, 5 and above, then we get the sense of nationalism and racism, and then we, on the basis of these differences, we think of us and them. There's this kind of division that we create. So of course, to kill one another as human beings, as equal human beings, it's quite unthinkable that we kill each other with different weapons. So we need to live our life on this earth, and therefore, and also we were nurtured and brought up by our parents, our mother. And so just on the basis of secondary differences, if we kill each other, harm each other, then what kind of being are we? And so with narrow-minded thinking, if we make this kind of distinction and discrimination amongst ourselves, it's not good. And so this is actually outdated. So we are all human beings, same in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering. And therefore, if we could live in a peaceful way in the world, that we should strive for that. And it is possible to create peace, to bring peace in the world. And then we can see an increasing number of people who are opposed to wars and battles. And so you young children are the future of our world. So what you must pledge wholeheartedly is that I will bring peace, true peace in the world. Religion is something, an individual choice. So as human beings, we all are same, and we should live in harmony and friendship. And with that, we can also make external developments, and not use this external material development for causing disturbance in our society. So for future development, the children are very important. So religion is an individual matter, but we need to think about peace in the world, in our communities. We should think about this. So I'm meeting you school kids once again. I see you very fresh and alive. I'm very happy to see you all. I was in the Muslim Idgah. The children were looked very fresh and alert. So all the religions of the world teach love and compassion, and therefore respecting one another and learning from one another. If we can do that, that would be good. Without trying to cause, in the name of religion, without trying to cause any harm, just because of difference in religion. So wherever I go, I always teach and tell people that people following different religions should respect one another. But we should, all of us equally want peace, and therefore to live in harmony with one another, whichever religion you are following. And it's an individual matter, but we should think of the universal course of the world, to live in peace and harmony. So we are all same human beings in being humans. But we have formalities. For example, when you come near me and see me, you show respect and devotion and all that. But we were born, when we were same, when we were born from our mother. So all of us, human beings, are same human beings. And we are all same in carrying on our shoulder the responsibility for creating peace and friendship in the world. So all of us are same human beings, and we have the same responsibility, which is to create joy, happiness, and peace in the world. This is our common responsibility. Take your tea. In Tibet, when monks get the butter tea, they would put the butter on their nose, make it. Sometimes people so it is said that the Sera monks and Drepung monks and Garden monks smear their butter from their tea on their nose, forehead, and throat, respectively. This is like supposed to be cracking a joke. All sentient beings in this world are equal in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering. So amongst these sentient beings, the ones who have the most kind of thoughts going on in their mind, they are human beings. And we can also receive knowledge and education. So together with our education, we need also to develop secular ethics in human community for morality. So everyone talks about peace and world peace, but in reality, we think in terms of us and them, and then make the division among ourselves through love, attachment, and anger. And therefore, through education, what we need to do is, of course, religion is an individual matter, but although we are living in different countries, different nations, we must live in peace, harmony, friendship. And therefore, with the sense of oneness of humanity, we must live in peace, harmony, and friendship. So for peace, harmony, and friendship in the world, we need to have this sense of oneness of humanity. We should not abandon that sense of oneness of humanity. Considering me, I am a Tibetan, I'm Buddhist, and I'm a Buddhist monk. And then I can also say I'm the Dalai Lama. But if I think along these lines, If I think too much, if I feel I am in the Dalai Lama too much, then I will remain alone. So there are a few billion people on this earth. And so if I think in terms of oneness of humanity, then I can have more friends and people whom I can interact with, friendly. So I do not consider myself as the Dalai Lama when I travel around the world and different places. I always consider myself as one of the human beings. And so I smile at people, and they also respond with smile. So if I stress myself as being the Dalai Lama, I'll remain alone and without any friends. That is not what I need. So we are all same. The way we were born are same. We are same. And therefore, with this sense of oneness of humanity, wherever I go, I feel respect and friendly with others, and people also have the same response. So here we have many young people, including mainly school children. So I'd like to have more questions from you, lots of questions from you, and if I can answer them, I will do so. If I don't know the answer, then I cannot give the answer to them.
Your Holiness, love and compassion are the core of Buddhism, as many scholars are of the view. My question is how Your Holiness will relate love and compassion as a scientific or a logical point. Thank you.
So in this new millennium, of course, science is something that evolved and developed in the West. So I meet many scientists who are neurologists or neuroscientists and psychologists and so forth. So they also seek peace of mind. So machines cannot create that, bring about peace of mind. It must be developed through one's own mind, within oneself. And therefore, when I meet with scientists, they tell me that in the Nalanda Buddhist tradition, there are lots of information about the mind and emotions. So they don't talk about religion. We don't talk about religion or past and future lives, but they seek knowledge as to how to bring about peace of mind. And therefore, when you have peace of mind, for example, when we say, in order to fulfill the interests of oneself and others, I generate or cultivate the altruistic spirit of an awakening. And so we think of, we do not need to think about the complicated philosophical stuff, but what we need to think about is how we can develop kind heart, warm heart, and then see what actually causes disturbance and to lose our peace of mind, which are our anger, attachment, and so forth. And so if you have love and compassion and friendliness with other people, then naturally you will have peace of mind. So the religions of the world are meant for creating and developing peace of mind. But without the basis of the secular ethics, without touching on religion, then people use the religion for creating disturbance and killing one another, launching war and battles with one another. If we can see what happens in Afghanistan these days and other parts of the world. So, religion has to be used to develop peace of mind within ourselves. Otherwise, if you, on the basis of religion, if you think us and them, then that becomes a cause. The religion also becomes a cause for fighting with one another. So, in the name of religion, just because we are different, we have different religions, such as in Ladakh, you talk about, being Kagyupa or Sakyapa or so forth. That doesn't really help to bring peace and harmony. So, on the basis of different colors of our hats, and then if we make division among ourselves, that's not going to be good. So regarding myself, I have received teachings. I have many masters from the different Buddhist traditions, all of which teach love, compassion, bodhicitta, the philosophical view of emptiness. So I have received teachings from lamas from the Sakya, Nyingma, Gyalur, Kagyu, and although these different traditions have different hats that they use, but the essence of their practice and teaching are same. And so I respect all religions.
Jule Tashi Dalek, Your Holiness, my name is Roxana Parvin. I am a student of Government Model Degree College, Zanskar. And Your Holiness, my question is, how does we take traditional learning and modern education together in this fast-moving society? And what is your message to the future generation of Zanskar?
So if our education could follow a secular ethics, then there's no contradiction between religion and modern education. Whether you follow a religion, believe in a religion or not, is a different matter. So I don't think it's a problem, since our educational system follows a secular system. Whereas if you are taught by your teachers or lamas that we are followers of such and such religion and others are not that and so forth, then that creates problem. So in India, for example, all the different religions of the world live in harmony and coexist in this country. So there's no problem, even though we live in a community with different religions. And so there's no problem if we can think along in a broad manner. So with regard to the question, how to combine tradition and modern education. So modern education mainly is focused on information related with our sensory perceptions. But all the religions have different philosophical ideas and concepts. Within Buddhism, we have 4 different schools of philosophy: Vaibhashika, Sautrantik, Chittamatra, and Madhyamak. But what is important is to be rational in our approach. For example, if you take the example of Master Chandrakirti, who was a follower of Master Nagarjuna, a great follower, he says that this profound emptiness, teaching of emptiness, which Master Nagarjuna has propounded, is something that cannot be understood or fathomed merely by people who are scholars, but someone with the imprints from the past life for this kind of profound teaching will be able to fathom this profound teaching. So all these philosophical ideas that are taught in the different religions are meant for our to tame our mind, to discipline our mind. And therefore, Master Chandrakirti says Master Vasubandhu or Dignaga and Dharmapala were not able to fathom the profound teaching of the Buddha, the Nagarjuna, the emptiness. So this really helps when Chandrakirti says that Vasubandhu was not able to fathom the profound teaching of Nagarjuna. And so it helps me because in Abhidhamma Shakarika, the treasury of knowledge by Vasubandhu, he mentions the traditional cosmos, saying that there is in the center of the universe Mount Meru, and then the 4 continents, and the sun and the moon are at a height of half the height of that Mount Meru, and so forth, and goes around the earth and so forth. I mean, the Mount Meru, and these are not compatible with modern scientific finding. So we cannot accept such presentations in our traditional texts sometimes. So Master Chandrakirti says this profound reality and truth that is taught by Master Nagarjuna is something that was not fathomed and understood by Vasubandhu, Dignaga, and Dharmapala. So when we debate, the monks who answer the questions would put on a cap or a hat, and when the opponent quotes lines from the Buddha's word, then they respectfully, the answerer respectfully listens, and then say if the quotation is not acceptable to them, they will say this is of course said by the Buddha, but it doesn't tally with your logic. The Buddha himself has said, "O monks and scholars, just as gold is tested for its purity by burning, cutting and rubbing, likewise you should thoroughly examine my teaching and accept it, not because of your faith in me." So the Buddha gave 3 kinds of sermons, which are called the first turning of the wheel of Dharma, the second turning of the wheel of Dharma, and the third turning of the wheel of Dharma. So within the followers of the Buddha, there are those who even within the teaching of the Buddha, there are followers who examine his teachings thoroughly, whether it stands to the test of reason or not. And then when certain teachings don't stand to the test of reason and logic, they would interpret it, saying that this was taught by the Buddha for such and such reason and purpose, and it is not the Buddha's real intention to say this. And so in this way there are the differentiation between what are known as provisional and definitive teachings of the Buddha. And therefore, amongst the Nalanda scholars, Master Nagarjuna and his followers and students, and also Sangha and his students and followers, and Dignaga and so forth. So they took the words of the Buddha and then used logic and reason to interpret these different teachings. And therefore they made this distinction between what are the provisional or interpretable teachings and what are the definitive teachings. Those that are interpretable are said to be the ones which don't stand to the test of reason. Therefore, they must be interpreted. They must not be taken literally. And so Master Nagarjuna and his followers used mainly reason and logic, and then differentiated between the teachings which cannot be taken literally but must be interpreted otherwise. So they are called interpretable teachings or provisional teachings of the Buddha, and then those that can stand to the test of reason and that don't need to be interpreted otherwise are said to be definitive teachings. And then in Tibet we have the Tibetan written language, which follows the alphabet system of Devanagari, Indian. So of course Songtsen Gampo, this Tibetan 33rd king, who lived in the 7th century, married with Chinese princess. Of course he must have enjoyed the Chinese food and stuff, but he was quite a unique person, and therefore, during his time, he initiated the new Tibetan script that we use today, based on Devanagari alphabet system. And then, during the time of the Chisung Detsen, the a later Tibetan king, therefore, by his time, we already had Tibetan written language, and therefore, Chisung Detsen, the Tibetan king, invited Chandrakshita, and so who advised Tibetans that you have your own written system of language, and therefore you should translate the traditional, the Indian literature, Buddhist literature, into Tibetan, and from Sanskrit or Pali. So with regard to the monastic code of discipline, these texts, the teachings of the Buddha were mainly translated maybe from Pali, and then other teachings like the perfection of wisdom and so forth were translated into Tibetan from Sanskrit. And so in this way, we have all these teachings in our own language. So I have also studied these different teachings, divided into different subjects, and therefore the Tibetan scholars have studied. And in the past also they have studied, and today also we study these different teachings of the Buddha, and therefore Tibet produced so many Buddhist scholars. Maybe the number of scholars that Buddhism has produced exceeds any other number of scholars produced in India or otherwise, other countries. And with regard to the debate that we employ in our study of Buddhist philosophy and logic, Chaba Choje Sengye, a Tibetan scholar of the 11th, 12th century, actually initiated this system of debate that we have today, that is extant in Tibetan monastic institutions, where the questioner stands up and puts the question and then claps his hands after finishing the question, and so forth. So in monastic institutions, when we debate, when there's heated debate, it's sometimes the noise would seem to shake the whole land. And sometimes it would be perhaps seen as dusty, the dust rising when they stamp their feet on the ground. So we have a very good system of education, traditional education through logic, which was initiated, the debate, which was initiated by Chaba Chögyal Sengye. And so the Tibetan scholars used logic and put arguments to one another, so which helps to sometimes to find contradictions among the within the position of the other opponent, and also to to be decisive about what the kind of position one would take when in terms of the Buddhist philosophy. So when I was young, I studied the study of logic and awareness and mind under my teachers. I also memorized some parts of it, these texts that I studied. I had 7 assistants in debate, and Ngojub Chokni was the top scholar who assisted me in debate. And then there was another one whom I used to abuse at times, who was Deyang Chögyal. And so I tried to deceive him sometimes, and so I kind of win in my debate with him. So this system of debate in study of logic and philosophy is something great, incredible. So what we should use this study of logic and debate is not just these logic primer and the study of mind, which are basic for higher philosophical studies of Madhyamaka, the middle way, and so forth. And so even today, when I wake up, I reflect on bodhicitta and emptiness. And I reflect on certain lines from Madhyamaka Avatara by Chandrakirti on emptiness. So these are really helpful. So I find this debate very helpful in understanding the teaching of the Buddha. So maybe I can say this to you kids. When I sat for my Geisha examination, first I went to Sera, Garden and Devon monasteries for my examination, and the main examination was at the prayer festival in Lhasa. So I wore a very though I was wearing very new clothes, inside my heart was beating so hard when I was doing my examination, Geisha examination, the final examination. I was feeling really nervous. Next question. This is a verse paying homage to Avalokiteshvara.
My name is Tenzin Gonchok. Graduate and an engineering graduate student. So I have a general question to Your Holiness. In today's world, we see the rate of population, the rate of growth of population is very high.
Mic changes to
which we see
mic changes
here
to
has been
with the
for
lago to
almost
a bit sensitive.
limited resources.
Call lago
And,
machang lao.
for example, if you take in a family there are more number of children, then a normal family could not afford to provide a quality education to all the children. So, what is your point of view on the birth control, and if we should control birth or not? And if yes, then how do you define it from Buddhism point of view? And if no, then why, Your Holiness? Thank you.
다데 지 슝이 돈다 가와이네 각서도 가와
So whatever thing we do, we need to see the pros and cons. So even though there may be reasons to oppose something, which is maybe greater than the pros, then we should do that. Otherwise, if the purpose is greater than the cons, then we should do likewise and accordingly. So in the world, if there's overpopulation, because the resources are limited, and if we have too many people on this earth, we need to rethink about the population.
Sector loptai chokne nyarang gi dunla tiwaji kurte chalteot tiwajuna nangpa sangespa inmin sasam ki theji kangla kosam nangpa inmin skeptoi.
So how do you delineate between a Buddhist and non-Buddhist, and then what is the measure by which we say we take refuge in the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma and Sangha? So generally, we say I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. So those who take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha are considered Buddhists. But mainly, whether we are Buddhist or not should be delineated on the basis of our philosophical view, which means the philosophical view known as the four summaries of the teaching of the Buddha, which these four seals are all composite phenomena, and impermanent, and all impure things are in the nature of suffering, and then that everything is empty of any independent existence, and nirvana is peace. And so when you are able to feel from the depths of your mind about these four seals of the teaching, the philosophical seals of the teaching, then you may call yourself, regard yourself Buddhist, and otherwise not. So we say Buddham Shranam Gacchami, whilst saying I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. In your mind, if you go against these four axioms of Buddhism, which is quite possible. So to become a Buddhist practitioner, we should know the meaning, the teaching contained in the three Pitaka, the three baskets, which teach the three higher trainings of morality, concentration, and wisdom. And by understanding these, if we practice the teaching of the Buddha, then it would be good to call yourself Buddhist, otherwise not. So in conclusion, I will give some transmissions of certain mantras. So first, the mantra of the Buddha Shakyamuni himself, Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Yaswa. Muni Mahamuni Yaswa. Mahamuni Yaswaha. Next, Manjushri mantra. Manjushri is the wisdom deity, a unique wisdom deity. So I pay homage to Manjushri, who has a youthful countenance and who dispels the darkness of our ignorance. And so, this is the mantra of Manjushri. So to develop a retentive, unforgettable memory, we should say the D syllable in this mantra, Om Arapajana D. So in one breath, we should recite this D syllable 100 times. So let us say D syllable 100 times in one breath. Om Arapajana D. D. So you should recite Om Arapatanadi, the Manjushri mantra, for development of your wisdom and intelligence. So to attain enlightenment, nirvana, and Buddhahood, this developing your intelligence and wisdom will definitely help. And it will also help in your learning. And next, mantra of Aryatara. So, Noble Aryatara, regarding her in Tibet, all people, whether they are monks or lay people, recite this mantra, paying homage to Tara. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha, Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha, Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. This is the mantra of Aryatara, Goddess Tara. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha, Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha, 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 Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha, 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 Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha, Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. So I recite this mantra every day. So it helps to clear any obstacles, and also it is the best means for longevity. So when I meet with people requesting for blessings, I tell them to recite this mantra. Om Tare Tu Tare Ture Soha. So this is the mantra of Namjum. Is there a final question? So we're done with this program. Thank you. During this visit to Zanskar, I have been able to give the Bodhisattva vows, and then also that of the universal yoga mind, or all-encompassing yoga mind. So these are the essence of the teaching of the Buddha, and we, without going through any complicated processes of initiations, tantric initiations, as I said yesterday, it's been really fortunate for me as well to give you these teachings, and I feel that I have also created quite a good merit. So it's not going to help you if you remain separate from the dharma. Your mind stream should not be separate from the dharma, but integrate the dharma within yourself and do your best in your practice of the dharma, and we'll see again. And thank you. There is a saying, so if you cause a gap between your mind and the dharma never touching your mind at all, like the gap as big as a space which can fit a human being. So that is not going to work for your mind. And therefore, you should always try to integrate the teaching within yourself.